All right, let's talk about something that trips up so many of us in the tech world. If you've ever touched an API or dealt with authentication, you have definitely heard bearer token and JWT thrown around. A lot of times, they're used like they're the same thing, and this confusion almost always boils down to one single question. So, which one do I use? Which one's faster, more secure? Which is just better? It feels like you have to pick a side, right? But here's the twist. What if I told you that's completely the wrong question to be asking? Let's dig in and clear this up for good.
Okay, first things first, let's put a spotlight on just the bearer token. What is this thing really, and why do we see it everywhere?
Honestly, the name kind of says it all. A bearer token is simple. Whoever bears it, whoever is holding it, gets access. That's it. There are no extra hoops to jump through. If you have the token, you're in. Possession is everything.
And this is the perfect way to think about it. It's just like a ticket to a movie. When you get to the theater, you hand over the ticket, they scan it, and in you go. The usher doesn't ask for your ID. They don't care who bought the ticket. All that matters is that you have it. That's a bearer token. And that simplicity is really its superpower. Because the server doesn't need to keep a record of every single token, they're what we call stateless. And let me tell you, that is a huge win for scalability, especially when you've got a ton of microservices that all need to validate requests. Plus, it's a well-known standard, so you know it's going to work.
Of course, that movie ticket analogy also shines a light on its biggest weakness. If you drop your ticket, well, whoever finds it gets to watch the movie for free. Same deal here. If an attacker gets their hands on your bearer token, they have the keys to the kingdom. This is why it is absolutely critical to always use HTTPS to keep them encrypted and to make sure they expire pretty quickly.
Okay, so we've got a good handle on bearer tokens. Now let's bring in the other big name in this conversation, JWT, which stands for JSON Web Token. And you'll want to pay close attention here because this is where the mix-up really starts. Notice that key word there, format. A JWT is not a type of access rule. It's a recipe, a standard for how you structure the information inside a token. Think of it like a secure, self-contained data package. And every JWT is built the same way. It's got three parts, separated by dots. First, you have the header, which just says what kind of token it is and what algorithm was used. Then you have the payload. That's the good stuff, the data, like the user's ID or their permissions. And finally, you have the signature, which is the security guard that proves the token wasn't messed with.
So we have the bearer token, which is a rule for how you get access. And we have the JWT, which is a format for data. If you're starting to get the feeling that this whole versus debate is a little fishy, you're absolutely right. This was never a fight. So that whole question we started with, bearer token versus JWT, yeah, it's just plain wrong. It's based on a false premise.
They just aren't comparable. You can't compare them because they aren't competing for the same job. It's not apples and oranges. It's more like comparing apples and the recipe for apple pie. And this slide right here is the big aha moment. A bearer token tells you how to send a token to get access. A JWT tells you what the token is made of. One is the delivery method, the other is the package being delivered. They're two different concepts that solve two different problems. So now that we've busted that myth, let's talk about the really cool part. How these two work together to make something incredibly powerful. If you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. The bearer scheme is the envelope. It's how you mail your request. The JWT, that's the letter you put inside the envelope. It's got all the important information, all signed and sealed. And here's what that looks like in the real world. A server creates a JWT, that's our letter, with all the user's info. Your app then takes that JWT, puts it in the authorization header, and sticks the word bearer in front of it. That's our envelope. When the API server gets it, it opens the envelope, checks the signature on the letter to make sure it's legit, and trusts what it says. And the benefits of doing this are amazing. The server can instantly validate the token just by checking its signature. No slow, expensive trip to the database needed. All the user info is right there in the token itself. It's fast, it's stateless, and it's basically perfect for modern systems, which is why it's pretty much the standard now. So let's lock this in. Let's make sure we walk away with the right mental model and finally put that versus debate to bed. Here it is, plain and simple. A bearer token is the how, the access rule. A JWT is the what, the format of the token. They aren't enemies, they're partners. And the most common pattern you'll see out there is a JWT being used as a bearer token. And there you have it. We started with what seemed like a fight, but it was actually a team up. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other big tech debates, like REST versus GraphQL or monoliths versus microservices, are framed like a big battle when the real answer is just about using the right tool for the right job. Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.